Things are not looking good at all for the NRA. Right now, in the gun enthusiast world, if you mention the NRA, people's blood pressure starts to rise. There is a lot of frustration and resentment towards the group, especially the leadership. This is largely due to the lies, mistrust, and excessive spending with membership money that has been uncovered by the members. That same thing has led to the New York State Attorney General suing the NRA and the NRA countersuing the AG, and then also filing for bankruptcy in Texas, which is where they plan to relocate to. And now a judge in Texas has dismissed that bankruptcy filing, and we're going to break that down and see what it means after this. The CMMG Banshee is one of the coolest AR-style pistols in the game, with its innovative features like the radial delayed blowback system and ripstock and brace. It's pushing the PCC and AR pistol market forward. They're available in 12 different calibers like 9mm, 300 Blackout, and even 5.7. And you can get 10 different Cerakote colors, which means your gun is bound to be unique, like our Banshee 300 pistol chambered in 10mm with its bazooka green Cerakote. Thing looks awesome. No matter which way you want to go, the CMMG Banshee has you covered. To learn more, head over to CMMG's YouTube channel and tell them TGC sent you. Welcome back to the Gun Collective. My name is Jon Patton, and you are watching The Fight for Gun Rights. This is a show all about Second Amendment pro-gun news, and we would love it if you got subscribed, followed us on Instagram, or just left a like on this video. Now, the topic for today is the NRA, particularly the lawsuit coming down on them with intent to dissolve the NRA as a whole, set forth by the Attorney General of New York State. We covered that in a previous video, which you need to watch to get fully caught up. The basics of that lawsuit are that the NRA hasn't been complying with nonprofit laws and has been burning through misappropriated money like it's going out of style. That being said, at some point, the NRA decided, hey, we're going to move to Texas, which seemed like a decent idea. New York sucks. Texas isn't a blue state yet. Let's bail, right? That kind of makes sense, I guess. Well, the leadership also decided at some point that they were going to try to file for bankruptcy in the state of Texas, even though they weren't really located there yet. And as of the 11th of this month, a Texas judge has dismissed that petition for bankruptcy with some pretty telling words. It's a 38-page document laying out all of the WTF findings, but I'll break down the conclusion for you guys. The first paragraph, of course, is very telling. It says, there are several aspects of this case that still trouble the court, including the manner and secrecy in which authority to file the case was obtained in the first place, the related lack of express disclosure of the intended Chapter 11 case to the board of directors and most of the elected officers, the ability of the debtor to pay its debts, and the primary legal problem of the debtor being a state regulatory action. The court agrees with the New York AG that the NRA is using this bankruptcy case to address a regulatory enforcement problem, not a financial one. Ouch. So basically, the court doesn't like how they were able to file for bankruptcy to begin with, the way the board of directors, at least the ones that aren't in LaPierre's pocket, didn't know that this was happening. They didn't like the fact that the NRA has the money to pay its current debts, which generally means you aren't bankrupt. And then the last part, the biggest part, is that the court acknowledged that the NRA's biggest problem was the New York State case. The conclusion section goes on to state that the NRA didn't file for bankruptcy in good faith because it was not for a purpose sanctioned by bankruptcy code. It goes on to say that should the NRA file a new bankruptcy case, the court would immediately take up some of its concerns about disclosure, transparency, secrecy, conflicts of interest of officers, and litigation counsel, and the unusual involvement of litigation counsel in the affairs of the NRA, which could cause the appointment of a trustee out of concern that the NRA could not fulfill the fiduciary duty required by the bankruptcy code for a debtor in possession. To me, this basically says, don't try to do this again because we will mushroom stamp your forehead. Like, what are they thinking? Like, does the NRA think that they're this slick? Like, they know what's happening. Okay, so what does all this mean in the grand scheme? Well, first and foremost, this means that they haven't evaded the case in New York and are likely going to get beaten up in court. If they had a strong case against the state, they wouldn't have petitioned for bankruptcy to begin with. That's not something they would have done. That can mean a lot of things. Despite my own disdain for current NRA leadership, I acknowledge that they are a big wall made of lobbyists that could be holding back a deluge of political BS in DC and across the country. However, my gut tells me that some of the executives will likely end up in jail, and the organization as a whole will crumble to a shell of its former self. I don't know if this figure that I'm about to tell you is correct, but I've heard things like LaPierre spending nearly $20,000 a month for someone to book travel for him. That's nearly $240,000 a year. And let's not talk about his suit budget, right? That's the thing that everybody latches onto. I mean, the wasteful spending is really frustrating for one single reason. A lot of gun owners feel like the NRA doesn't have their back. In the gun tuber community, pretty much everyone has shifted their focus to supporting groups like Gun Owners of America and Firearms Policy Coalition, but neither of those groups has the supposed power in DC that the NRA has, and that concerns me. I'm really curious to get your thoughts on this, guys. Sound off down in the comments section below, and let me know what you're thinking on this one. It's a big deal in the grand scheme, and we as gun owners could feel this in the long run. Also, if you wouldn't mind, please hit the like button so the algorithm doesn't bury this news, and don't forget to get subscribed and ring that bell. And as always, thank you all for watching. We'll see you soon.